There's no hustle and bustle in the Jenin refugee camp in the northern occupied West Bank. Instead, there is this. Israeli forces bulldozing homes, clearing out streets and alleyways. Since the beginning of the year, hundreds of homes have been demolished in 3 refugee camps. Hundreds more are on their way to being completely destroyed. All part of Israel's longest and most destructive assault in the occupied West Bank in decades. But home demolitions are not limited to these refugee camps. On Wednesday, Israeli bulldozers razed a home in Na'alin village near Ramallah, a continued practice against Palestinians who don't have Israeli-issued building permits, which are rarely given. Israeli authorities only approved 1% of Palestinian building permit requests between 2016 and 2021, according to the Israeli rights organization, BIMCOM. Another Israeli tactic is demolishing the homes of Palestinians it accuses of attacking Israelis. The UN calls this policy collective punishment, and it's illegal under international law. In the southern occupied West Bank, nearly 1,200 Palestinians face potential displacement in Masafer Yatta. More than 500 of them are children. Israeli forces plan to demolish structures in 13 Bedouin communities. The reason given: existing buildings interfere with Israeli military training in the area.
We are very worried and anxious. I barely sleep at night. I also take my bed outside and sleep. Imagine, I don't stay in this cave with the rest of the family. In addition to the fear of demolition, I'm scared of settler attacks. They continue attacking us and stealing our livestock. They want to push us to leave one way or another.
Israel continues to further isolate and cut off Palestinian communities from each other, while expanding its illegal settlements. Palestinians say Israel's goal is clear: re-engineer the geography and structure of the entire occupied West Bank to pave the way for future annexation. Nida Ibrahim, Al Jazeera.
Let's discuss this further now with Alan Cohen-Lifshitz, who's an architect and urban planner for the Israeli NGO BIMCOM Planning and Human Rights. He's joining us from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for your time on Al Jazeera, Alan. I understand you've been you've been approached to intervene in the demolition decision in Tulkarem today. Can you tell us more about this and more about what's motivating these orders, the demolitions of homes in Tulkarem and other areas of the West Bank?
Thank you. Actually, this case is unique in a way, because usually we are not dealing with security demolitions. But however, we found out that actually there was not any check of the options within this area. The idea here is to expand the ways within the refugee camp, so all this kind of army machine can go inside and do whatever they like. However, we found that there might be some options to reduce some of the demolitions.
So are these demolition orders part of a broader strategy of de facto annexation by Israel?
Okay, well, the case in Tulkarem refugee camp is a bit different. However, there is an idea to annex the West Bank, and we can see that in a way some of it is already ongoing. Especially in the issue of planning, since there are a lot of bylaws and plans and ideas that come from Israel directly to the West Bank. And moreover, we can see that there is a huge discrimination of Palestinian within the planning system.
Yeah, I want to ask you more about these laws in the planning system. I mean, it's widely reported that Palestinians face nearly impossible odds when trying to get building permits in Area C or in occupied East Jerusalem. Can you tell us more about the mechanisms behind the denial? Is there any real pathway for Palestinians to build legally in these areas?
For Palestinians, it's almost impossible to build legally. You report about the data that we have from 2016 till 21. And actually, we received a new data which actually reduced the number. So the percentage of Palestinians that receive building permits are 0.4 of the applications. 0.4% of the applications. So it's almost none, like 22 along 5 years. However, we need to understand that this is an area of conflict, and planning is, and the conflict is on land. And planning is a very powerful tool that Israel is using in order to create discrimination and to conquer. So actually, what we can say is that planning and demolitions and all the idea of building are kind of weapon that Israel is using to conquer. We can see that there is a huge discrimination, or we can even say that it's in a kind of official apartheid between Israelis and Palestinians within Area C of the West Bank.
Okay, yeah, tell us more about this Area C. It makes up more than 60% of the West Bank and is under full Israeli control, if we understand it correctly. Why is it so important to Israeli authorities, this particular Area C? And what does it mean for Palestinians who currently live in this area?
So in Area C, we have all the settlements, and the administrative division of the Oslo Accord in 1995 and afterwards create a kind of fragmentation of the West Bank, which the main generator of this fragmentation were the settlements, the location of the settlements. And the idea of building the settlements in this position was not from a planning rationale, but from a different perspective to create a matrix of control all over the West Bank. So you have Area C, and which is, as you said, 60% of the West Bank, and areas A and B, which are around 40%, are actually islands within Area C. So all the movement of Palestinians and the livelihood is mainly related to Area C.
We've seen, Alan, an alarming rise also in settler attacks on Palestinian property, particularly since October 2023. Are these incidents part of an unofficial push to further displace Palestinians? I mean, and how does the Israeli army's presence intersect with that violence?
Well, for many years, we managed to prevent forcible transfer and demolitions of thousands of structures of Palestinians within Area C. Everything collapsed because we use the system, we work against the regime, against the authorities. However, these days, it's something that is beyond our capacity to deal with settlers, which nobody really care what they're doing, and even the government is pushing them, threatening them, giving them all the ability to do their job, and they are going hand in hand with the government. And the idea is to create the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in many areas in Area C. These days, we see that they are really going to the mainly to the mobile pastoralist communities, the Bedouin and non-Bedouin herding communities, which suffer most from these policies. And it's ongoing ethnic cleansing, and slowly they are going as well to villages and pushing villages that cannot really have access to Area C.
Thank you so much for talking to us about this and painting us a picture of what's been happening there in the occupied West Bank. Alan Cohen-Lifshitz, an architect and urban planner with the Israeli NGO BIMCOM Planning and Human Rights. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.